she's not a whore. She's a whore, she's not a whore. Yay! It's episode 2 of How to Make a Musical. This episode's called I Can't Sing and I Can't Play Music. How to write a musical with absolutely no training or qualifications whatsoever. I'm so glad you came back. So let's talk about the process of creating a musical. How is a musical different to a comedy show? So here's the thing, this is how it started. Let's go back, let's go way back, okay? Hi monkey. Hi little monkey sausage. Have you come to share your musical knowledge? Have you come to share your musical knowledge? If we could just stay focused, guys, thanks. When I wrote a show called What Would Beyoncé Do, it had music in it, right? And it was comedy and jokes with music in it. In which case, why the fuck is it happening to me? Look at me, right? Now, because of my attitude, I get called a diva all the time. I don't give a what. Give me a cheer if you've ever been called a diva. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, because as far as I'm concerned, a diva is the female version. Yes, give yourselves a round of applause. That's the right answer. But here's the thing. If she couldn't sing and she couldn't dance, but she was fabulous in every other way, when life gives her lemons, PSFYI, I wrote the show 5.5 years ago. I've been saying that line for 5.5 years, and then the bitch brings out the album not long ago, right? If that's not a sign that me and her were separated at birth, I don't know what is. When life gives her lemons, what would Beyoncé do? We're about to find out. Are you up for this? Yes! Okay, rule number 1 in the Bible of Beyoncé. Thou art bootylicious. What are you? Bootylicious. Damn right you are, bitches. Damn right you are, right? Now, I love my body. I love getting a tan. Who here likes tanning? Yeah, because cellulitis never looks sexier than when it's orange. Am I right, ladies? Yeah. Now, I've got a big bum. It's massive, but it's behind me, so never bothered to do anything about it. And as that show grew and developed from a room above a pub on the Free Fringe to playing to 500 people, right? As it grew and developed, and it had like 10 sold out runs at Soho Theatre, I remember audiences coming out and they wanted to go dancing afterwards, which is how I created my Valentine's party, where I do my show followed by a massive after party. And also how I learned that audiences were so up for it that they were like, oh, this could be like a West End show. This could be, you could literally write Beyoncé the musical. And I remember being like, wow, I've never even thought of that. But I remember how having a really good story, and story is key, story is everything. The story is your pillar for everything, for anything to become great and successful and huge, and to work on the Fringe and to work on especially the Free Fringe or the paid Fringe, or to come out of the Fringe and be successful, it's got to be a really good story. If you think about some of the shows that we've seen that we've come out, whether it's Baby Reindeer or Fleabag or any of these shows, it's having a really good story at the Fringe show that can then be translated to stage or to theatre or to film or to TV, right? What Beyoncé Do taught me that having a story and having music to it could lend itself to being a musical. In fact, I remember having a conversation once with Aunt Hilda from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, who stopped me in an industry bar and said, you know who'd love your show? Whoopi. Let's get Whoopi on the phone. And Whoopi Goldberg is my idol, and I was like, oh my gosh. And Whoopi was like, let's produce your show for you. For whatever reason, it never happened, but it planted the seed in my head that show could become a Broadway hit with just a little bit of fanfare, right? Now, I'm in a place where my last stand-up show was called Bitter. Previously to that, I was doing a show called God is a Woman, which is quite a sad show, and it was a love letter to my mum who passed away. But in that show, there was a story that I loved telling, and it was the story of Mary Magdalene. And it came from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which they found, that they discovered, and it was a book that wasn't included in the final edit of the Bible. Here's a snippet from the show. Mary goes upstairs, and then the doorbell rings, so she looks out of her window, she sees Jesus pulled up, and she's like, oh, what is that on his feet? No, no.
So Jesus has come round, and Mary's dad is like, Mary, come downstairs and be nice to Jesus. No, I'm good, thanks. Come downstairs right now and be nice to Jesus. Otherwise, I'll take away all your inheritance and your tablets, right? Now, again, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what it says in this scripture.
So what I like to do in my comedy is I like to make things accessible. So I made Mary Magdalene like me. I made her like a girl from like London and being like, what? You're like, whatever, Jesus, you're a dickhead. Like, I characterised Mary Magdalene and I love doing that bit. As I'd finished writing Bitter and was like, I don't know what to do next, I went back to the idea of play. And I wanted to play with this concept of Mary Magdalene because I really like Mary Magdalene being like a sassy character. So much so, I've actually created some Instagram memes where I'm like, imagine if Mary Magdalene had an Instagram account. Here's one of them.
Are you a prostitute? What you doing tonight?
Day 1 tomb update. There's still no news.
Aside to this, many years ago, gang, I wrote a song. It's a smash hit song. And you can tell when I fancy somebody because I start singing it at them. I can't sing or play music, but I love Cher. And many years ago I wrote a song and it goes a little bit like this. I know that sometimes it don't work out right. And I know that sometimes it's not worth the fight. But I'm here and I'm willing. And if you'll meet me half the way, we could be love. We could be love. We could be love, 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 love. Everybody, we could be love. We could be love. We could be love, 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 love. Guys, it's a really good song. This is the worst advert for a musical ever. Many years later, I was in New York and I went to the theatre and I went to go see the Book of Mormon. And I saw it and I came out and I went, you need to write Mary Magdalene the musical. You need to write Mary Magdalene the musical. And I remember meeting my friend Charlotte after a show where I just toured. And I think I did God as a Woman. I was with my friend Charlotte and Georgie. We sat down and I was like, you know that Mary Magdalene skit? Like, I wanna build a musical around it. Like, I wanna build a musical around it. And she said, yeah, and then you can add your song. And when I tell you the goosebumps that I had, I was like, I can add my song. I can add my song. Like, finally, my life's work made sense. So it doesn't actually matter, I don't think, that I can't sing or play music, because it's about the intention of it, it's about the feeling of it, it's about the joy of it, because all musicals is their stories with songs that help move the narrative forward. So for example, you have a story that you would tell, you'd be like, I met this guy, I really liked him, but then he started becoming really controlling, and then it became really difficult, and he just was a massive narcissist, so we broke up, and then I was really sad afterwards, right? That's the story. But in a musical, you'd be like, I met this guy, he's so handsome, I'm so handsome, she's so brave, he's so handsome and so strong, and I like her freedom, I like the way she smiles, the way she lives up a room, she's so enigmatic and beautiful, oh, I think so too, let's fall in love, we fall in love, we fall in love, oh, where are you going tonight? I'm going out with my friends, are you really wearing that? What's wrong with what I'm wearing? I think you should change your outfit. Why are you saying these things to me? I don't like how you're behaving. What do you mean how I'm behaving? I don't like who you are. What do you mean, please, please? Really, you should stay small in a box. I'm in a tiny box, a tiny box. You will do as I say, as I do, as I say. Okay. Girl, get out. He's a narcissist. A narcissist. What? A narcissist. A narcissist. What? Narcissist. A narcissist. He's a narcissist. Narcissist. Get out. I've got to break free. I break away from you. And the sadness calls and the darkness comes. Listen, I'm not saying it's easy. What I'm saying is songs carry the narrative. I had all these ideas. I've got a skit, I've got a song. So now what do I need to do? I need to flesh it out. Let me show you how I normally write shows. My shows come on A3 pads like this. And it's ideas, all jotted down. And I knew the idea of the musical in my head. In fact, I took it to Edinburgh Free Fringe. We play around with this pitch. This is how I want it to open. I want you to imagine that we're meeting Mary Magdalene for the first time. This is Mary Magdalene. She's at home and she's single. Why is she single? Because she hasn't met Jesus yet. So let's meet Mary Magdalene being single. Let's navigate Mary Magdalene being single. And then I explored the idea of what would it look like if Mary Magdalene was to go dating. And I kind of use like current references. So like Mary Magdalene goes out with a gym bro and she's like, oh, what's your favourite protein powder flavour? Which is one of my jokes, but I wrote it into Mary Magdalene, right? To just kind of make her this sassy character. As I started developing this show and it became like a clear story and I really liked it, and I started adding all these different characters like Jesus, and there was a guy in the village and the other village, the men in the village. As I started writing and developing it, in my head I knew the story but I didn't have it written down. Someone suggested that I apply for Arts Council funding. Now, Arts Council funding in the UK can help you, especially if you're a creative in one area, one creative field like stand-up comedy, and you want to branch into another. So I'm in stand-up comedy and I want to branch into musical. So I successfully received 10,000 buckaroos Arts Council funding to help me work on and develop this show. Part of that money was spent on finding people to help me, right? So I worked with the pianist with my little song. I worked with different people to be like, how does this sound? Or how does this work? Or how does music in something like this sound? One of my favorite people that came aboard was a dramaturg. And a dramaturg is a person that helps you shape the script of the show, shape the movement of the show. So that person was Pippa Evans. And Pippa Evans is incredible. Like, she's incredible. Not only is she a phenomenally talented stand-up comedian, performer, improviser, writer, she also used to run a non-religious church. So like a place that you go to worship for celebration that wasn't tied to a particular religion. And she improvises musicals. So she's the perfect person. I love her and I want to work with her all the time. And she was like, let's make this musical look like a script. So she was the one that actually helped me format everything of this into this to make it feel like a proper script. And what she would teach me is that she was like, if you wanted to be a proper musical, you have to think of an ensemble. At the moment, you're one woman playing all the parts. And so she introduced the idea of an ensemble, and we opened the show with an idea of a classroom and an ensemble on stage. And we set up the show. And whereas normally in stand-up, I'd be like, and then this happened and this happened. What we do is we put that information into the characters. So whereas I would say, oh guys, did you know the Bible was translated by men? So the Bible wasn't actually written by Jesus, it was translated by men, those that had access to education. That was people with access to education who were wealthy. Very often that was men. That's what I would say as a stand-up. In the musical show, I let God do the talking for me. So God says, if you had the money, you'd be taught to read and write. History was recorded by those who knew how to use a pen. So the majority of history was recorded by men. And that's what I like about theatre and musicals, the call and response, getting the audiences involved. So I kind of have played into that a bit more, and I put parts in the show where I can do that. For example, there's a song that I've had for Mary Magdalene that I've had for a long time, and I've only got 2 lines of the song. And it goes, she's a whore, she's not a whore. She's a whore, she's not a whore. And what I do to elicit that is I ask the audience to do it for me. So I say to the audience, I want this side to say, she's a whore, and then this side to say, she's not a whore. And when you have a group of people saying that, it's like a chorus, and then you point to the one you want, and they go, she's a whore, she's not a whore, she's a whore, she's not a whore. And it's using the audience to be part of the show and making the show as I'm one person on stage doing it. A moment where I tried to write a melody. There, at the end of the show, Mary is hijacked, and I've kind of got this idea for a song. And again, I'm not a singer, and I'm not a singer, right? I'm not a songwriter. But I kind of have this vision that it goes a bit like this, and I can't tell you where it's come from, it's in my head. It goes, dismiss my name, dismiss my potential, dismiss my contribution, but you cannot escape my voice. You can lie about my life, lie about my purpose, lie about the things I've done, but you'll never escape my truth, 'cause you will hear my echo, 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 you will hear my echo, 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 or something like that. I don't know it yet, but I'm placing it down because what I hope for is when I meet the team, they'll go, we know how to make this a banger. Musically, it is just me on stage doing it, and I am doing all the parts. And what it's morphed into, what it started with was a pitch for a musical to be like, help me get this off the ground, I need a team together. But sadly, people have really enjoyed watching me play all the parts. So now, because it's the only thing that I can control, it's become me playing all the parts. So I do the musical and I play everybody in it. And my hope for that is that it becomes a really killer one-woman show like what Beyoncé do, that eventually somebody comes up to me in the bar and they go, do you know who'd love this? My friend Whoopi. Why don't we produce your show for you? I guess what I wanted to share this video is this is what it looks like to be an outsider of an art form that I'm not trained in, that I'm not necessarily astute in, but I think I am qualified in because I've got 19 years of experience as a stand-up comedian. And actually, when I think about this show, This show is the accumulation of my life's work. It's because I've done so many years of stand-up and touring and going up and down the country and gigging and working and writing and bombing and dying and smashing and killing it and figuring out what works and being like, this is not typical comedy, but people like it. This is not a typical stand-up joke, but people like it. This is not typical, but people are going feral. And because I've learned to lean into that skill set and that quality, I'm really enjoying exploring it with this musical. So I hope you enjoyed part 2. Thank you for watching. You will hear my echo, echo, echo. Is it mad to some people that don't know? Sure. If you don't know, sure, it's mad, it's wild, it makes no sense. But if you've been to my shows and you know me and you know how much I love Sister Act and Cher, guys, it makes complete sense. You will hear